The NFL draft is just weeks away, and there's so much that could change for teams contending to win a Super Bowl this upcoming year. To help me figure out, with three of the top teams with some of the best Super Bowl odds, what they need to do in the NFL draft to actually make those hopes of winning a Super Bowl come true, I've got Brandon Deutsch, my good friend, here to talk about all of that coming up in a few weeks. Go and check out Brandon Deutsch on TikTok, Instagram, NFL Draft, fantasy football content creator. Brandon, I appreciate you digging into this with me. Next couple of weeks are going to be a little crazy. How many are you done with watching prospects? I've still got a few more that I got to get through.
Dude, I'm never really done until the day before, like in terms of like the 5th, 6th, 7th round guys, you know, but for like the top few rounds, yeah, I've watched. I mean, there's definitely some favorites I have that I'm higher on than consensus. You know the drill.
Yeah, it's a grind getting up to the final date, and you can never watch too many players. I know that's definitely the case for these teams trying to get their final bits of research done on these prospects. The three teams that I want to discuss here today, Brandon, I want to get into the Rams, who currently hold the best odds to win the Super Bowl this upcoming year, justifiably plus 850. Getting Trent McDuffie, I think, really pushed themselves into that top conversation. We're going to also talk about the Chiefs, surprisingly very high up at 14-1 odds, and then the 49ers, a team that you support at 15-1. They're up there in that upper mix as well. Let's get to the Rams first, because that Trent McDuffie trade did a lot for them for fixing and resolving one of their biggest needs this offseason. A lot of people before the trade were projecting, is Colton Hood the pick? Is Chris Johnson the pick? Is Brandon Cisse the pick at the end of the first round? That pick's gone. They removed that pick to go and get Trent McDuffie, but they still hold the 13th overall selection from Atlanta. What do you think that spot for them allows them to address? And who's one prospect that, or a couple of prospects that you think that they should be paying close attention to?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. This is a team that probably, even if they didn't participate in the NFL draft, would still be the favorite to win the Super Bowl, just because they filled their biggest need, right, with McDuffie and obviously his former teammate on the Chiefs, Watson, who's going to be their second corner. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility they go Jermod McCoy and have a trio of corners. I don't think it's out of the possibility. Now, I've talked to some Rams people. They're pretty confident they're going to take a playmaker there at 13, but we just don't know if Mekhi Lemon is going to be available there. Carnell Tate, I've heard, is garnering, for whatever reason, some top 5 buzz, although I don't think it inevitably goes that high. And then I don't know what their thoughts are. I haven't heard anything about the Rams being linked to Tyson recently because of the medicals. Like, I've heard he's going to fall. I love Jordan Tyson. I think that would be a perfect fit alongside Puka Nacua. Mekhi Lemon is kind of the guy who gets mocked to them all the time. That would be scary as well for the rest of the league. Although him and Puka play very similarly in terms of just yards after catch and everything they do. I think they're trying to replace Adams. So the inevitable fit would be Tyson or Tate, right, with that X receiver. But I just don't know if either of those guys are going to be there. And if Tyson's there, who should be there, how do they value the medicals, right? Like, they've taken guys in the past that have had some shady medicals, right? They've signed guys that have had some shady. They don't really care as much about that. They've got a great medical team, but I'm hearing Tyson might fall in the draft. And to me, it's kind of shocking, Joe. It's kind of shocking because you watch the tape and you're like, yeah, some nagging hamstring injuries, some other injuries. But like, when he's on the field, there's no question he is the highest upside of any receiver in the draft.
Yeah, the thing with Tyson that just gets really murky that we're not privy to is his like true health picture. He's had a long list of injuries that he's had since the beginning of his career at Colorado. He's had an injury that's basically occurred every single season. And his tape, as you said here, he's my number one receiver. I think that he has the highest upside to be the most dynamic and impactful player. But if a team feels queasy and a team like the Rams wants somebody that's going to be able to contribute right away, they're probably going to look away from a Jordan Tyson. But I think that you brought up Mekhi Lemon, as much as you bring up here that Puka plays a lot in the slot, yards after catch, that it might be a hair redundant. I think that the profile of Mekhi Lemon really works for the Rams because you're getting this really creative and smart, instinctual football player. One of the things that he does the best that I don't think enough people recognize is that he's really good at navigating spaces against zone. He's just really good at finding these gaps. He knows right when to stop. He knows right when to cut in order to create and find that opening. And I just feel like smart football players with Cooper Kupp and Puka, Mekhi Lemon might be the pick here that actually sets them up for winning a Super Bowl.
I don't disagree, and I think like if we're projecting, we're almost 2 weeks away from the draft, and we're projecting like who they're going to take. Like if you put I wouldn't say a gun in my head, that's a little crazy, but if you had to tell me who are they going to pick at 13, I would say if he's on the board, they're picking Mekhi Lemon. Like I agree, and for all the reasons, Mekhi is my wide receiver 1 simply because of the medicals of Tyson. Like I'm just so confident in saying that he's going to be a very, very productive NFL player. And if you put him in the right offense, I think he's a Pro Bowler, all-pro type of player. I do. And I think this wide receiver class is better than people give it credit for. I like Denzel Boston. I like Casey Concepcion. I like Omar Cooper. I like Chris Bell. You know what I mean? And Chris Bell is going to fall to round 2 because of the medicals, right? So, like, there are options there. I think it's between Mekhi Lemon. I mean, the Sadiq stuff, I know you've probably heard it too. Like, the Rams might be interested in Sadiq. I mean, they have Ferguson. They have Higbee. They have Parkinson. They don't need a fifth tight end on that roster. Yeah. So, like, I think that's out of the realm of possibility. I could see tackle, but, like, their offensive line is good enough, I think, to win a Super Bowl. Like, I don't think it's... They could use some depth there, but I just don't know if Francis Mauanoa is a guy that they're looking at that could fall there, because I think Freeling might go 6 to the Browns simply because of the left tackle need there, and Mauanoa played right tackle at Miami. So if he falls down, like I could see Mauanoa maybe, but I think it's down to Dermot McCoy, Mansour DeLeone, and Mekhi Lemon, Carnell Tate between those 4 players. If I had to guess, it would be Mekhi Lemon on draft day.
Yeah, all those positions are the ones that if you're a team who thinks you're not even a player away, but you're ready to go for a Super Bowl run, adding another corner, adding another receiver usually makes a lot of sense. The Kansas City Chiefs, though, I can't really understand why their odds are so high at the current moment. 14-1 odds to win the Super Bowl this upcoming year. This roster has a ton of holes. Now, I get it that they've got a lot of draft picks that they're going to be able to address some of those. They did this a couple of years ago when they drafted Karlaftis and when they drafted Trent McDuffie. That draft class was really big in setting them up on their most recent run before this latest reset. But 9th overall, I've had a lot of trouble of projecting who the Chiefs are going to go with. I guess it's the best pass rusher available, if Caleb Downs is still on the board, if Carnell Tate is there. What do you think is the move here for the Chiefs?
Yeah, I don't think there's any chance they go wide receiver. Honestly, I think their defense has way too many holes. I think but I also think like they can make something out of nothing with cornerbacks. So I'd be shocked as well if they take Mansour DeLeone that high. I mean, he'd be an obvious all-pro in Kansas City because Spags turned McDuffie and Snead and all these guys into superstars. And even Watson, Watson used to get cooked all the time in man coverage, and he turned him into a pretty good player in his system. So, like, I don't think that I think they're inevitably going to take, if he falls to them, Reuben Bain. I've said it for a long time. I think they would run to the podium to take him. Just a very good pass rusher, very good run defender. Chris Jones is only getting older. I think he fits in perfectly on that D-line. Their D-line is honestly horrible, Joe. And the deal, like they need to upgrade immensely. Every Super Bowl champion the last 10 years has had a good offensive and a good defensive line. I could see offensive tackle, but I mean, they just invested some money in Jalen Moore, right? Like from the 49ers, who I was glad to see sign with the Kansas City Chiefs because he's not that good. But I mean, I think that this pick is probably an edge rusher. But it's weird. If let's just say Bailey and Bain are both off the board, I don't think they'd reach for Mesidor there at 9. I don't think they'd reach.
Oh my God, that would be a reach.
Yeah, 100% for a guy that's 25. And I love Mesidor, but he is 25, and that's going to make him fall to like the 15 to 20 range at least. I could see, I guess, Carnell Tate there. I mean, I think Carnell Tate is actually a really good fit alongside Worthy. And we saw, obviously, the Rice news. He's not going to be suspended, it looks like, shockingly. But, that means – so, Mekhi Lemon makes sense, I guess, too. But he plays a lot like Rashee Rice in terms of yards after the catch. A true X like Carnell Tate might make sense. But also, like, Boston could be available at 29 there for them later in the first round, which could force them to go corner. I've always linked Avion Terrell to them at 29. I just think that's a prototypical fit. And if he's not there, like Colton Hood, there's so many corners, you know the drill, in that range from like 25 to 45, where Cisse, like Hood, like all, you'll have like anybody to choose from. So I just think pass rusher is probably where they go. I think it's Ruben Bain. Like, I don't think he goes higher than 9. I think it ends up inevitably being Ruben Bain. And at that 29th pick, probably Terrell or Colton Hood. They just need to establish that secondary. I could see Caleb Downs, but like, the thing is I don't see DeLeone at this point. Like, I just don't. Like, the more I think about it, I'm just like, that would be a good fit, obviously, with Trade McDuffie, but I don't think they take a corner that high. I could see Downs or a wide receiver, but probably Ruben Bain is my pick right now for them there.
I just think at the end of the day, for the Chiefs, the one position that they can't come out of the first round with those 2 picks, they can't leave without drafting a corner. You just traded away McDuffie. Watson leaves in free agency. As much as you might have liked the development, the depth of some of the younger guys that you have on the roster, they have to extract value somewhere. And I think that to their benefit at pick 29, there is that really good second-tier corners, the Chris Johnsons, the Colton Hoods, the Avion Terrells, that they could end up working with and selecting and turning into that next Trent McDuffie. The 2 positions that I think are maybe the biggest wild cards, depending on what happens with the board, you mentioned the possibility of going offensive line. I think that with the inconsistencies with their offensive line, that to me feels a compelling case to be made. I think instead of, like you talked about here, instead of going receiver, it might make them a little bit more sense to try and bolster their offensive line. The biggest directive, I think, in this draft class in general is getting a better supporting cast to protect Patrick Mahomes. Yep. The other guy that you didn't mention that I do think is compelling. Well,
he's not going to fall there. Jeremiah is not going to fall. That's why I didn't bring him up.
Right. Yeah. Sadiq was who I was going to bring up. Sadiq is, I kind of wonder if they're ready to relegate Kelsey to like a secondary role. Do we maybe think that there'd be some excitement there with that kind of speed that they could bring into the tight end room? You'd be finding your next star at tight end, theoretically.
Yeah, I always think about it like this, though, Joe. Like, I haven't taken a huge look at next year's tight end class that carefully yet. But what I do know is in next year's class in 2027, because of the plethora of just top-tier talent at edge rusher, wide receiver, and quarterback, offensive linemen, tight ends, corners, they're all going to drop. Yeah. So, like, and I'm expecting the Chiefs to be pretty good still. Like, I don't know if they're Super Bowl good, but, like, I think, like, also you're dealing with egos, too. Like, Kelsey still wants to be that guy. I think, I don't think he would hate trying to mentor Sadiq. I mean, he knows the drill that it's kind of a 1 year, 2 years max. I think after next year he's retiring. I would like the pick. I just think like they need an edge rusher and a corner so bad and a receiver that if they go tight end, I know we're going to talk about the 49ers. Like if they were to go Sadiq, I'd be like, what the heck? I love Sadiq, but like you need an offensive lineman, you need a receiver, you need a safety, you know what I mean? So like, I just think there's too many needs. And the way they've drafted in the past, I just don't see them taking a playmaker here. I just don't. Like the way they've drafted in the past has been when they've been successful, offensive and defensive line primarily, So
you just alluded to the 49ers and you kind of just painted a couple of their needs that they have on the table here. They've got 15-1 odds to win the Super Bowl next year. And I think that they are of that kind of second grouping of teams with their Super Bowl odds for next season. The reason why I plucked them, not only because you follow them very closely, you've covered them, that they also have the best case because now that they're healthy after all the injuries that they suffered last year, they really do feel like one of these teams that's a couple pieces away to getting back into that running for winning a Super Bowl. Where do you see them maybe focusing that 27th overall pick? Is this going to be a receiver? Is this going to be an offensive lineman with the age that you're starting to see?
I talked about this with 49ers reporter Grant Cohn the other day. He believes that they're going to take a tackle because they want more leverage in the Trent Williams situation, just to have a backup plan, and basically said, hey, we don't need you, Trent. I think that would be a stupid decision because I don't think that there's, you could get a tackle like, even if they got Markel Bell in round 3 or 4, like he's not that great, but like at least you put him alongside a guy like Trent Williams, maybe you can get the most out of him, right? Like I just wouldn't go tackle there. I think they're down to edge rusher, safety, and wide receiver. And the reason why I say safety is just in case Emmanuel McNeil Warren falls to them. They have a desperate need for coverage safety. Marquise Siegel's really young. He's more of a depth safety. Jair Brown is not that good. And Mustafa's great, but he's not incredible in coverage, right? Like he's a hard hitter. He's like Hufanga a little bit, where he gets to the ball quick. Or if you pair Hufanga alongside a great coverage safety, he'll be fantastic. But Hufanga used to get beat, and he still gets beat like occasionally in coverage if you have to put him in there and drop in there. I do like the depth at safety, though, in this class with like Michael Taff, with Halsey, who's more of a nickel, but like Wheatley, like all these guys down the list, like Bishop Fitzgerald from SC, I think is 92 coverage grade on PFF. So I think you could get that later. I think it's mostly down to receiver and edge rusher taking that in. I could see Max I love him. I mean, that would be an inevitable high upside Trent Williams replacement. But it just depends where the board falls. Like if Denzel Boston's there, I like the fit, him learning under Mike Evans. And if the Mike Evans experiment doesn't work out, you're only paying him for 1 year, and then Boston can turn into that version, that kind of vertical threat. I've been hearing Casey Concepcion a lot, and the reason being is he can knock 2 birds out with 1 stone, right? They have a desperate need at kickoff and punt returner. Sky Moore's not on the team anymore. So like, I don't think and Brian Robinson was returning punts, and he's not on the team anymore. So unless they're comfortable with Jacob Cowing or Jordan Watkins returning kicks and punts, which I don't think they are, Casey Concepcion could be an option. Fits that yards after catch system. Cooper would be the prototypical pick. If Cooper's there, I think they have to take Omar Cooper Jr. Yeah. I just don't see the closer we get to this draft, I don't see Cooper falling past pick 21 to Pittsburgh at this point. No. So like, to me, it's between TJ Parker. I heard they really like Malachi Lawrence, like first round like him. And I know he's more of I would kind of hate that pick because I think you can get him around 52, 53.
Yeah.
I mean, he is obvious upside, but like I'd take like him over TJ Parker or, Zion Young. But Zion Young, they don't like character issue guys, so they're not going to go Zion Young, even though I love Zion Young. I could see Mason Thomas. I just don't see guard or tackle there in the first round. It's going to be an edge rusher. I'm pulling it up right now. Like besides, who did I mention? TJ Parker, Mason Thomas, Malachi Lawrence. The way I've been mocking them, I think mock drafting, not making fun of them. I think they go receiver first round, whether it's Concepcion or Boston, and then they either go Derek Moore, Malachi Lawrence, or Joshua Josephs in round 2 at edge rusher. And they kind of push tackle and safety to later in the draft because they have 4 fourth-round picks. So that's kind of what I see for them.
It's going to be exciting to see what these teams do in a couple of weeks. I'm just juiced up thinking about how close we're getting to this point with the draft being right around the corner. Brandon, it was great getting to catch up with you. I'm sure that we're going to talk plenty over the next couple of weeks offline. But where can everybody catch you on social and people can find your content?
Yeah, so Brandon S. Deutsch on TikTok and on Instagram. Brandon Deutsch on YouTube for more 49ers NFL draft content like that. And then BSD Takes on X. I had to get a new X account, dude. That's why I've been trying to build it the last year because my old one got banned. So
what did you do to get banned?
Something we won't say. Let's just say I was live streaming during the NFL draft and may have shown a stream on replay. So of the actual
That'll
draft,
usually get you.
It's not smart. Yeah, NFL doesn't fuck around with copyright. That's for damn sure.
No. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll catch you later. Enjoy the rest of your week.